Are you a farmer, rancher, or forest landowner who experienced discrimination in USDA's farm lending programs before 2021? You may be eligible for assistance through USDA's Discrimination Financial Assistance Program. Applications close October 31st. To learn more, visit 22007apply.gov or call 1-800-721-0970. That's 1-800-721-0970.
Hello, I'm Matthew Malcolm with American Vineyard Magazine, reporting to you from Grape Day at the Kearney Ag Center. It's been a great time here with the UC Cooperative Extension. We had some folks from UC Davis, including Alireza Pourreza, an associate professor there over digital agriculture. We wanted to specifically talk about your work in remote sensing for nitrogen management in table grape vineyards. Yeah. Historically, obviously nitrogen is a very important nutrient for our grapes. And if you get too much, that can be a problem. Not enough, it can also be a problem for many reasons, right? So it's something that growers are paying close attention to. But it's been kind of a menial process over the years, right? You got to take leaf samples and assess them in a lab setting, right? Mm-hmm. But you're using remote sensing now, yes, and over a large amount of vineyard acres, and being able to figure out where those nitrogen levels are in the vineyard much faster. Tell us about it.
So you're correct. We can look at each individual plant and even different part of each individual plant through images that we can collect through drones or satellite or airplanes. And instead of having a very small samples to represent the whole population, we can look at the entire population at once. And first of all, we can see how much variability in nitrogen content we have in the vineyard, correlate that to the other a specific condition that we have, like irrigation system, the topography, disease or pollination, any other factor that can be variable, especially variable within vineyard. Then instead of managing and treating the entire vineyard uniformly with the same rate at the same time, we can define zones based on a specific condition and manage each zone separately. That first of all will help us to reduce the amount of nitrogen that we use, because we try to satisfy the hungriest plant in our vineyard. So we adjust our application rate to that level, which would be a lot of nitrogen for many other vines that are not suffering any deficiency, or they are not that big, so they don't need that amount of nitrogen. We think that remote sensing has a very good potential right now to provide us with this spatial insight into the canopy. And many of our vineyards are not designed for variable rate management. And nitrogen is usually injected to the irrigation line. So obviously we need a variable rate irrigation system to apply nitrogen also on a variable rate, which might not be available. But grower can, first of all, take a look at how much variability they have in their vineyard and see if they can do some modification in their irrigation system so that it makes them able to manage each zone separately. Or if the specific deficient zone is not like a major part of the vineyard, maybe they can treat them by some additional foliar spray, something that can supplement the nitrogen that is applied through the irrigation line.
Right, so really appreciate the great work that you're doing in getting this technology hopefully on the market. We've got a number of aerial imagery companies out there that are using some technology, right, to be able to see where there are problem spots in the vineyard, irrigation, disease management. So it's not a terribly new thing, right, for the industry, but what makes what you're doing different?
So as you mentioned, remote sensing has been around for maybe more than 20 years through the availability of satellite imagery. And then recently, with the introduction of uncrewed aerial vehicle or drones and affordable multispectral camera, many girls, they purchase this equipment to observe the field. But previously, we didn't have the computational power to do very complicated analysis and processing of vast amount of data. So we had to rely on simplified interpretation models that use just simple calculation to convert imagery into some kind of vegetation index map. We have a lot more computational power in a more affordable and accessible situation. So this technology is now available, and I hope, many of these commercial services also try to use more advanced technology instead of just using simple vegetation indices, and I'm really hopeful about the future of this technology.
Well, this is great. There's one thing to be able to capture all the data, but to be able to interpret the results, that's a big deal, especially for an essential nutrient like nitrogen. So thank you for your work. Read more about it in American Vineyard Magazine. I'm Matthew Malcolm, CaliforniaAgNet.com.